as I know, my name is actually Russian, but
Oh, I
that
didn't
was,
know that.
yeah, my grandfather, he was Jewish and in the Ukraine, but
What
he
was the
spoke
name?
Russian, and it was in the Tsar's army.
Hodes? How do you pronounce
There's a
it?
lot of it could be Khodes, or there's actually an epidemiologist in Texas who's Hotez, and some of his family, it's the same name. Some of his family is using a different spelling. You know how it goes. So
Well, Faina, let's go back to you and ask you about because you were both Russian and Ukrainian and spoke both languages. Did the FBI give you a harder time than they gave me about our friend?
It seems like it.
What did they ask you?
Well, they definitely asked what we talked about and gifts and what our interactions were like, but he's from the same city that my mom is from.
Oh.
So that made it a little bit more complicated. I don't know. I mean, they ask a lot of random questions to try to throw you off. You know, they try to ask you questions that you think are random, and they're really leading you somewhere. But all I'll say is that after that conversation, I don't think we ever saw him again.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, I'll tell you what. Oh, we never saw the Russian guy, or we never saw the FBI guy?
The Russian guy, maybe we saw him once more, but then he disappeared.
He went back, no, he went back to Russia, and he was replaced by someone else. They rotate. He was my third Russian guy, okay? Before I got interrogated by the FBI. I started working for the OECD in 2006, and within about 6 months of my arrival, the first one, who was much more dangerous looking. I mean, he actually looked a little bit like Putin. This guy was like a fun family man. You know, he was just jovial. But they used to come with a wad of cash, and they wanted all the new books. And they would never, and it was hard for us to do cash transactions. We weren't really set up at the office to do that. But anyway, I would get them the books, I'd take the money, I'd write up a little order, and then I'd have to deposit the money, and then I'd have to write a check to the girls that process the orders up in Connecticut. So technically, the money was going through my account because I didn't really have any other way to deal with it.
So you're money laundering?
Yeah, I was money laundering, yeah.
What kind of books are we talking about?
We're talking about academic publications. The thing they were most interested in,
Yes.
the World Energy Report. They were interested in our projections about how much oil the whole world was going to be using. So they could, and you know, we did projections about how much of that was going to be coming from Russia and other places. That was really all they cared about, because that's their economy. You know, I think, I don't know what they're selling now, but I mean,
They're in trouble now.
I haven't, you know, I have to say, I'm much more concerned with wildfires that I can see from my living room window now than I am with world energy supply levels than I used to be. Yeah, I thought the guy was pretty harmless, actually. But then our boss, well, she was a new boss, Carol. When I told her, I said, oh, well, you know, he brings me like, you know, these little trinkets. And she'd say, come out of the office. It's not safe to talk in here. He might have bugged.
Oh.
So we go into the conference room, and I said, well, Carol, I wanted to tell you that I got called by the FBI, and I went around, I had coffee, and she got so pissed off. She used to work in the Obama administration before she came to the OECD. And she got on the phone to the State Department, and she told the State Department they better call the FBI and tell them to get their dogs off of us, because we were not going to be a conduit. Oh, I remember the FBI agent said to me, I said, well, what am I supposed to do when he calls again? He said, oh, talk to him. And then, you know, try to find out. They wanted me to sort of try to get information out of this guy. When
You're a spy. Svetlana.
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 And so, Cubby, we see you twice now. There's two of you.
Twins.
Oh, yeah. So sorry, I've been in the background. I downloaded the app so that I can see gallery view because for whatever reason on Laurel's computer on her web browser, that function just is not existing. So
Do you see us all now in your app?
now I see everyone and I see myself twice.
Can you get rid of the other
You're
one?
right, you're there twice.
I'm going. I'm about to delete myself.
I want to see how many of me I can get up there.
Faina and Kathy, I
Yeah.
want to say that you haven't met with
Oh,
an agent of the Federal Bureau of
yeah.
Aviation Incident, but one person on this call is actually representing the Bureau, and it's up to you in the next hour or so to determine who that individual is.
Definitely
So
Alan
leave
Hart.
it to you, based on the conversations we're having, to determine who that individual is. Good luck.
Things just got interesting.
Look, and dun dun
Happy
dun
Ramadan.
dun 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 dun.
And thank you for
Oh,
joining
I'm
us
so
from
good.
Hong Kong. It was great to see you.
It's lovely to meet everybody. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, sure.
You should have birthdays more often, Kathy.
Well, Ray's birthday is coming up on August the 2nd,
Oh,
so
good.
I'll
I'm
see
there.
what I can organize for
I
that.
have to run. I have to run too. But
Me
you guys
too.
talk about all these books. You guys talk about all these books. Anybody read John Meacham's Soul of America?
Oh.
No, have you?
It's really incredible.
What is it about?
For those of you who love history, I mean, it's a brilliant book.
It's more than 400 pages long.
No, it's not that long.
Write it down.
It's a
Okay, well, we
tremendous book.
recommend it for our
Soul of
book club.
America. Soul of
Is it
America.
in
It has its own
paperback?
book club.
Is it in paperback?
Try to get
Yes.
him for the book festival, but he wouldn't come.
Oh,
Well, he's an incredible gentleman. I don't know if you've ever heard him speak, but he's a brilliant man. He's a professor of history down at Vanderbilt. But if you ever get a chance to read, if those of you who love history, I mean, this really reads as a college thesis. It's so well annotated. Anyway, it's nice to see you guys. Happy birthday, Kat. I have to run. I have 5 kids, so there's always some problem going on.
Kathy, I'm gonna go too. It's so good to see you.
And my daughter just broke up with her boyfriend for 5 years.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I gotta be a good father.
bonne nuit.
Good night, guys.
Nice to meet you, Ars.
Meet you all.
Bye, Wade. Bye, Kathleen. I've got to run.
Okay, bye.
Take care. Good to see you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thanks for stopping.
Hey, Kathleen, I'm going to say goodnight too. Stay safe, stay cool, and happy birthday.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for the lovely cards.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Kathy,
Yes, dear.
great seeing your choir director because I see him go in and out of the church from my porch all the time. I did not know who he was.
Well, unfortunately, he just retired.
Oh.
But, you know, he teaches at the Amalo Dei School, which is this little Episcopal school they started for mostly immigrant children. There's a lot of little African kids there.
Where is this? Where is it?
It's not far from your house. It's in your neighborhood.
So what's it called?
Imago Dei.
Amado Dei. Oh, thanks. Good. Sarah's I was going to say. She probably knows more about it than I do.
I don't know. I have
It
never heard of
started
it.
at the church, actually, in the parish hall. It was very, very small and has grown a lot. I think they maybe in a year or two outgrew that one small space.
So is it in South Tucson or where is it?
It's the school itself is in downtown, kind of near that famous Mexican restaurant where the chef makes enormous salads and invents the menu every night. Cafe Poca Cosa. It's right next to Cafe Poca
yeah.
Cosa.
That's good.
Right.
Yeah.
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 All I remember is Sheldon told me that he had a hard time, they had a hard time convincing these kids that they needed to wear shoes. Because they come from cultures where they don't wear shoes.
Even in the summertime?
Well, I think he's talking about people maybe from Ethiopia and Eritrea. I don't know. I had some of those students in Washington too. Do you know, Sarah, where most of the kids come from, or it's just really a mix?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do know that these are families that have had very precarious existences. So,
My goodness.
you know, maybe there's an economic reason for no shoes too.
It sounds like it's on Pennington.
Well,
That
no,
sounds right.
they were given shoes.
Mhm.
It was not in their culture to wear shoes back in Africa. And when they came here, they were told they had to wear shoes to school, and it was not something they were familiar with or comfortable with.
Mm.
I'm unmuting Ina Stern because, hold on,
Hi, Ina.
who remembers her? Ayo, Cubby does. Why can't I?
What do you mean, who remembers her?
Well, not everybody
Unmute
knows her.
ourselves.
Tell her to unmute herself.
Yeah. See, John, I'm not.
I
that
know
bad.
we can't hear you. Will you unmute yourself?
Unmute.
Ina, you know how to unmute yourself?
Oh, you can do
Oh, here.
unmute audio on there. On
That's
top.
what, oh, there it is, hold on. No, I've done this before, and it's not,
There you go. Wait. You had it.
we're both trying to do it at the same time.
There.
No, I had it. I thought you were doing it. Sorry.
Look at how beautiful your hair looks.
Well, you know,
Going out
finally,
to my party?
I finally got it cut.
Oh, it looks fabulous.
Weeks of being afraid to go to the hairdresser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally got mine colored, you see. Well, I finally had enough to get
Ignore you. Wait, I
What?
got to go to speaker view here. Look at you. Hi, Wei.
Hi.
Do you see my son?
Do
Hi,
I see
Ina.
your son? Wait, let me
How
go
are
back
you?
to the other
I think
view.
you haven't seen him since he was like 5 years old or something.
No, I saw him when I came to visit you.
You did? Oh, wait a minute. Did you see your cubby?
In 2000 and
Last summer.
last summer.
Well, the last time I was out there was last summer, but
Oh, no,
I
I
don't
know when you
remember.
came for the book.
when I came, when I
Yeah.
stayed with you in Tucson.
That's
And
right.
I-
I did catch you for a minute.
Yes, it was St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Day. You had just marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade, and you were very drunk because you'd been out drinking with your fire.
Oh, horrors.
That's what I remember.
I don't remember that at all. You're safe with me.
Went to a Chinese
I
restaurant.
don't think I was drunk, but
Well, you told me you'd been drinking all day with the firefighters after the
when I was
parade.
drunk.
I don't know. You could keep up with those guys, I guess. You told me you were a lightweight compared to most of them.
You have either a much better recollection of this.
You don't remember anything because you were drunk. That's what I'm telling you. Anyway, I want to introduce
Speaking
you.
of that, am I the only person drinking?
No.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well,
I'm
raise your
drinking water.
glasses, ladies and gents. I probably missed all the toasts, but here's to
Oh,
you, my lovely
Laura.
Kathleen, on your birthday.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud of you.
Thank you. Ina and I have spent many birthdays together because we always went to the American Library Association conference, and it was almost always on my birthday. So we got to go to really nice restaurants
Oh, yeah.
at Peter Workman's expense.
And even after you switched off with somebody else's expense, you
Right.
know?
Well, I think, yeah, well, the last one you came to was Harry Carey's in Chicago.
Oh, God, yes.
That
was a fair one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
That
It
was
was
when
fun.
Weiwei fell into the, Weiwei was riding a kayak and he capsized in the Chicago River and he had to be rescued.
What?
What
How
year
have I
was
not
that?
heard this story?
True. It was in 2012 or
13, because it was the year
Yeah,
that
13.
Nancy came after. Yeah.
So I have to ask a question.
Yes.
Let's talk to some people who we have not heard from
Yes.
for a while and find out how they're connected to you, like Jolene's iPad
That's
and
my
Ginny
cousin
Bryant. What?
That's me.
Well,
My cousin
Cousin
Dave,
Dave.
he did hear how he was connected to me.
well, some people have come on since then.
Okay,
so-
okay.
So go ahead.
Dave. This is Dave DeBoer, my second cousin. Tell it.
That would be me. Yes, well, Kathleen and I go way, way back to our childhoods. when she was living next to my uncle, her grandfather, up in Norwalk. And he had a turkey farm there that he sold turkeys to everyone in the town. And our families would get together. Kathy and her two brothers would come over to my parents' house, and we would wind up doing different things together. Then she moved away. I stayed here. I went to engineering school, so I'm kind of a geek person. I was laughing when Kathy was saying having math problems, and I was thinking back to all the math that I had.
I have to tell you, I have to interrupt and tell you, Kathleen and I went to the Holy Land together. And Kathleen was trying to teach me we went to Israel, and I was learning about both the Jewish side, which is my heritage, and the Catholic side, which is my husband's heritage. And Kathy was teaching me about both. And I'd go, oh, look at the irrigation system. Look how it's engineered. Sorry.
Yep.
I'm an engineer.
It was a long, long time ago.
And she was into all the physical things, and I was into the people, the languages they were speaking.
It was so funny.
It was just very different. I thought we just have very different, or the way that we experience life.
The brain.
The brain.
Look how well balanced that makes you two of you.
We're a good
team. The two of you are so well balanced now. You look at, one is looking at one aspect of life, the other one is looking at the other aspect of life, and combined together, it's a perfect union.
Yes, it is good. So anyway, Dave is my second cousin now. Let's go to Ina, since she just joined us. Just to unmute herself again. And Ina, tell them how you know me, and also I want you to tell Jinya, who is a book selector for the Tucson Festival of Books, about your career.
Yeah. I guess they canceled it this year.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 days before.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
It's online now.
Sorry for everyone that.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Kind of really.
But I still had a party for Major Garrett because he came. So.
Oh well, yeah. I came a couple of years ago.
Came. He actually planned to stay here for a week after the festival was over at La Paloma. So so I had a little gathering for him. Almost nobody came because of the virus, but we kept our social distancing, and it was a joy to meet him and his wonderful wife Laura. But yeah, so now I just see him on CBS.
Well, I know Kathleen because she took my old job at Workman. And what year did you get to Workman?
91.
Which was the year that I left. So we didn't really ever work together, but we became long distance friends. I moved from New York to North Carolina in 91. And she did such a much better job than I ever did. So I was kind of embarrassed by the whole thing, but we did a lot of trade shows together because I was still working for Algonquin, and she was working for Workman, and Workman owns Algonquin. So we spent a lot of time together, and we've visited each other. She came here and went to the beach with me one year, and I went to see her in both Tucson and Phoenix, and and elsewhere, DC.
Yeah.
So kind of hung out since 91.
You were at my 2010 birthday party in DC at the Louisiana restaurant.
That was fantastic.
It was. Oh, there's Bruce. Look, another publishing friend, Bruce Samuelson. He just got on. I was trying to figure out how to get you in here.
Bruce, say hi.
Hey, Fana.
Hello.
I've been sitting here listening for 10 minutes, and then I realized I couldn't understand why my video wasn't working, and then I looked down and I had the camera disabled, so. User error.
Well, and I just want to say that I'm so happy to see Andrea because I've been hearing about you.
Me?
And, yeah, you. Yeah.
Hi, honey.
Really,
Hi,
it's
honey.
All good
like
stuff.
you both came to take care of me last summer when I was recovering from my surgery. So
Yeah.
that's why I was
Except we went to the Phoenician.
spa.
We had spas.
Oh.
Spa day.
Huh.
Well, she
But
came.
can I say-
She came in August. I think Ina came in July.
No,
That's
she
right.
was moving by then.
We had
and that was
Trader
fine.
Joe's
Come
day.
in. Way's gonna tell you.
I know this is not a competition. This is not a competition. This is just.
Wait a minute. Way has something very important to say here.
What?
Thank you both. Ina came to clean my refrigerator and he organized my furniture for me.
Ina, you win. You win, Ina. You win.
Yeah, I thought I was coming to take care of Kathleen, and I ended up taking care of Wei.
It was, well, the caretaker needs caretaking.
Right.
Wei had a serious antique food collection going on in that refrigerator.
Science experiments.
Yeah, science experiments. Not on the level of your father, Chris. I mean, he's a rank amateur compared to Chris Ringston Sr. in the antique food business, but he was starting to get there, you know? And I was, you know, I was like immune compromised, so I wasn't going near half of that stuff. But Ina dove right in and she cleaned it out, threw away what needed to be thrown away, which was like probably 75% of the contents. And then Andy came in and she feng shuied the apartment. She just said, oh no, this needs to go over here and this needs to go over. And I'm just like, just do it. And it made a huge difference.
Perfect.
Yes, so that's what friends are for.
Anna, are you in North
Laura-
Carolina still?
What?
Is Anna in North Carolina still?
Ina's in North Carolina.
I am. I'm in I'm in Carborough, which is
But
right.
she's got a new project. She's not doing publishing anymore. She's doing something very interesting.
What is that?
Well, it's kind of halted now because of COVID, but I got involved in senior advocacy. So I work with groups of seniors dealing with mental health issues, and I'm also involved in an equity study that's being done at Duke. I'm a advanced care planning facilitator, and I work with Black and white populations. This study is to see the efficacy of advanced planning for each group. And so everything just went to a horrible halt because I was working with the most vulnerable population. So I had to stop doing that. Now we're starting up doing it. I'm doing some calling and some Zooming, but it's really been, that part's been really hard. But the work, I love the work.
What led you in that direction?
Sorry?
What led you in that direction?
I was the caregiver for both of my parents who both lived into their 90s. And I watched how difficult it was to navigate the healthcare system and all the other systems when you get to be a certain age. And I thought people shouldn't have to do that. We should figure out how to do this better. So that's how I got involved. And the study just fell into my lap. That was kind of a miracle.
Wow.
So it's really rewarding. And the only thing that didn't stop for me is every Monday morning, I'm a telephone reassurance volunteer, and I call 15 people between the ages of 80 and 95. And they tell me how their weekend was, and I make sure that they're still alive. And they are so happy for the phone calls, and they're the ones who get me through the week with the COVID stuff, because they are just amazing, talking about their memories, talking about their lives, their, what keeps them going. And it gives you hope, So.
Well, in 2 years, you can call me. I'll be 80.
Oh,
Doesn't she look fabulous?
Oh my God.
Awful today.
No, you were like my inspiration, Ginya.
Right. I just turned 58 on Monday. So we're both June babies. A lot of June people at this party, Kathy.
Yes, I know. Seamus he was here too. I have to say, I mean, Ginya is so involved. She's still such a leader in this community. I can't imagine being like that at 70. I can't even imagine being like that at 70.
Bullshit.
No, really. I was in Washington. In other places I've lived, I've been like you, but much earlier in my life. And now that I'm retired, what I do like 2 online book clubs, and I'm helping Andy and I are doing these college reunion weekly Zoom.
Have any of your friends read your screenplays?
John read, Andy's read Man at Third, I think. John read a very early screenplay of mine before I knew anything about screenwriting, which you haven't read yet, which is called Agnes Smedley's China. I don't think, John, did you read my baseball screenplay or not, John?
I did read the baseball screenplay, I think also, yeah. And what's the I have to tell you, by the way, as a non-Tucsonian, that it seems like from the outside, the world beyond Arizona, that you have this incredibly vibrant literary community going on there, and it's really fascinating and wonderful to observe from the outside, from Maine.
I will tell
from
you
the outside, it's so cool.
Come on out and check it out, John.
Our book festival.
Yeah, fuck that shit. But even so, it's still interesting to look at from a distance. From 3,000 miles away, it's very interesting.
Let me tell you this: our book festival is the 3rd largest in the country. Only the LA Times Book Festival and the one in Washington D.C. are larger than ours. So, and that has been true for about 10 years.
There you go. There you go. So I'm serious, Kathy. It really feels like there's this vibrant Tucson energy, which is emanating out of my screen. It's this pulsating purplish kind of
the fire
sort of thing. And anyhow, that's all. I'm shutting up. But yes, I've read your screenplays. Al.
It's a very good town for artists, I think, because it's inexpensive. I think there have been writers here for a long time, painters. There's a very good music scene. What else do you think is, my son might be able to say some things. He knows what's going on with the younger and the hipper artsy types. Chris?
What would I choose to say?
Chris?
Yes, Chris.
Who's that?
Chris.
He doesn't have Cubby on his screen anymore. He's got Laurel Goslin.
Well, when I download the app, I didn't have the choice because it is linked to her.
Oh.
No, but you can change it.
I know, but I don't want to change her name because then,
No, you can change it for the session.
Can I? Well,
Go up in your Hollywood Square. Go up to the 3 dots.
No. So what's going on in Tucson? Yeah.
I'm not sure I fully have my finger on the pulse because I'm not super engaged in our community in the art and culture.
But are the young kids wearing masks?
No.
Yeah, I wear a mask.
No, but are everybody else?
Other people are. I hope that more people are starting to take it seriously because, I'm trying to do my part in educating as much as I can just through conversation with people that, it's not necessarily about you protecting yourself. It's about you protecting other people from you. So I think that's kind of the most important thing to get across to people because it's really not about us, it's about other people. And that's what having some sort of community awareness is about is just paying attention to the needs of other people. But yeah, as far as I think, what Tucson's like as a community, it's a pretty cool place. We are here in the desert and it seems like we're in a very right politically state, but Tucson's definitely more of a liberal epicenter, I think,
it is
in Arizona.
Blue dot in a red state.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean,
kind of like Austin to Texas.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good comparison.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm very actively involved in the community in other ways, in terms of like actually being, present when people call 911 and stuff like that. And, dealing with people in the hospital. I mean, I work in the level 1 trauma center here in town. So I see anybody who's really, really sick or dying. If I'm working, I'm going to see
You're
them.
the dark side, Chris.
So, yeah, I know. I'm
you
somewhere on the fringe. I'm
But
part
Chris, you used to play a lot of music with your friends when you were still
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to art school for a year here at the University of Arizona, which is yeah, I went to the University of Arizona. Yeah, that's where I graduated with my bachelor's.
Ceramics. My son graduated a year ago from U of A.
Really? What was
Yeah.
his major?
Huh?
What was his major?
What was his
Michael Bryant. He lives in Phoenix now, but I'm so glad he
Michael?
graduated a year ago.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, because it was in a big stadium. Like you can't even imagine doing
Yeah.
anything like that right now, but it was huge. Fireworks. My
Right.
graduation did not have fireworks. It was amazing.
What did
So-
he major in, your son?
He majored in urban and regional development, but
Cool.
he's going into human resources. That's what he wants to do. He did an internship while he was there and really liked it. And so he's living in Phoenix and really loving it.
Well, it's a shame that wearing the mask, has become so political when it's just so important. And it's
He
nothing
wears
to do with politics,
one.
Nothing to do with politics, but it has become that way. So,
Well, that's what
wear more masks than people in Phoenix.
But I think the real problem is that actually the young people who are not there are some young Republicans, but most of the young people I think are Democrats, but they're going out to bars and you can't wear a mask in a bar and drink and talk to people. And that's where the big infections and home parties is another thing. And I'm telling you, Memorial Day weekend in my neighborhood, they were happening. And I didn't look over the back fence to see if people were wearing masks, but I could see all the cars.
You can tell if they have masks by the way they speak. You can hear.
Well, no, what I'm saying is in my neighborhood, most people entertain in their backyards. They don't enter. And so you could see that like there's 10 cars parked, at the house down the street. And yesterday I saw another, I'm pretty sure it was a graduation party. People started inviting their families back. And these are some of the stories coming out now. 18 people in one family all got COVID. 65 people in this restaurant in Michigan all got COVID. So they're inside in a contained place and they're probably hugging everybody. They're just, hey, Helen.
Happy birthday!
Thank you. So good to see you.
Oh, it's so great to see you. Hi, everyone.
This is John's lovely
My wife, Helen.
Helen Pelletier, yes. You remember my son? You see him over here?
I remember. I
Chris.
remember the last time that I had dinner at your house.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah. It's
wonderful.
very nice to see
I really
you.
enjoyed that.
Ah.
I think right now we're the furthest on the block, right? Since you've got rid of that guy from Hong Kong.
We're in
That's already
opposite
in-
corners of the country.
That's right.
Waiting though, but I'm still waiting for Australia to come in and join us.
Wow.
I hope she can. I think it's actually late in the morning there already. It's not like she's got to get up super early. She said she was going to, but you never know with Carmel because she gets a lot. She's got 3 daughters and they all have kids. She's another friend from China. And she was actually teaching in Mongolia this winter. She's like also 78 years old, a real trooper. And she had to be sent home. Mongolia closed up really early, like in January. They were like, get out now or you're not leaving. And so she's been, she does teacher training for ESL and she ended up having to do it all remotely from Australia.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Hey, Virginia Vega Bryant.
Yes.
That's such an interesting name. Veiga. I've never seen it. What is it?
It is Spanish, but with it's Galician, so that's why there's the I in the middle. So it's
How do you
Spanish.
pronounce it?
Vega, just it's pronounced like the I is silent.
Like Vincent Vega from Pulp
Yes.
Fiction.
Exactly.
cool.
John Travolta.
Exactly. Just like that,
that
but with an I. Thanks, Cubby.
No, where I do my part.
So Virginia, how'd your son like Tucson?
He loves it. He loves Arizona in general. Like and I enjoyed visiting there so much. And I was excited when Katie B was moving there because I knew that even though she was moving away, I would still get to see her when I went to see my son. So yeah, we've enjoyed our visits out there. I've never timed it well enough to go to the book festival. But I've heard about it through Kathleen. But it's been great. He went.
Mountains. We have a lot of different things. So
yeah. No, and the university community is amazing. Like you're always hearing about, the achievements that are coming out of the university, and even in my publishing role, we're publishing, scholars and authors from U of A, and it's amazing what comes out of there.
Well, I have been on campus for a long time until recently, and now I'm the chairman of the advisory board for the School of Art at the U of A.
Oh wow!
And so I'm trying to start a scholarship fund in a George Floyd Memorial Scholarship Fund for art students of color in either art ed or studio art. So I'm just getting going with that right now. But we won't have a meeting in person for 1 year. So it's all on Zoom. It's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It is.
Is U of A coming back on campus?
They're supposed
No, it's questionable right now with our going up. Theoretically, yes, August 24th, but who knows? And it's supposed to be like 7,500 students will be allowed on campus. Distancing.
Out of 40,000.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
normally we have close to 40,000. Now they're only 7,600.
Because I'm in the middle of a college town, and if the campus stays closed, we're supposed to start August 10th, but things have started to, our numbers are going up like everybody else.
North Carolina? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were steady for a couple of 3 weeks, and this week it started going up. So we pushed back. We were supposed to go into phase 3. We're pushing back into phase 2 again, but we will lose most of our economy if the students don't come back, and that's really scary.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hello, nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Hello, Peter.
Hi. Oh, John. Hi, John. Andrea, right? Hi.
Well, it's Andrew. It's Postlethwaite.
Wait.
You.
Right. Yes.
Postlethwaite.
Yes.
Yes. They just.
I
should change that.
Okay. Right. Yes. Postlethwaite. Yes. Okay.
Are you ready to play?
Is it time?
It is time, Peter.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. All right.
Wait.
I've got to switch myself, position myself.
But hold on, Annie wants to take your picture. Okay.
I'm fine. I got it.
Now it looks like Larry Golding is trying to get on, but he can't connect to the audio. He's down here, Lawrence's iPad. So just to let you know that, another classmate, but I don't know, having technical difficulties. You all have to unmute yourself because it's time to sing again.
All right, well, I can't. Wait a minute.
Come on, I saw your YouTube videos. I know you can.
I know. Oh, but I'm using my desktop here.
Peter, you have YouTube videos? I got to check it out.
Oh, they're
Well,
great.
no.
He does so. Come on.
All right, I should have adjusted this.
He
Well, I think you're not going to see the keyboard this time, but anywho.
We don't have to see it, right?
Yes, right. Okay.
Peter, we can't see your face.
That's okay.
No.
No.
All right, I'm trying to.
Somebody just came in the room.
Why am I?
Wife, your child, or your dog? Who just came in?
Maybe it's like that. That's way low. Now,
Oh, that's not bad.
okay, we're getting there.
Yeah, that was
We're
fine. That was
getting
better.
there. That was better. Oh, I see. That's better. Still, hold on.
And John and I are both here so we can reprise Close to Death.
Okay, good. I
Tour
got
every
that
day.
too. Having trouble getting.
That's on YouTube too.
That's about as. I'm trying to get the keyboard. Oh, I'm still way low.
No face.
I'm way low. Hold on.
Is that a laptop or a?
It's a desktop, so I have to.
That's why
Oh, wow.
it's very flexible.
There,
That looks
but I don't
good.
see the keyboard.
That looks good.
There is even better. Well, you sort of see the piano.
I see your chest.
Right.
That would be good if you were female.
Where's the drum beat there?
Sorry, Cubby.
All right. That's about as good as you're gonna get. All right.
Hey.
Have you
That's perfect.
set up your, you know, I'm gonna do the dominant again.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
Happy birthday to you.
Now, wait a minute, Andy, I have something really important to announce. The person who now wins the prize for knowing me the longest has just arrived. She is Julie Lewis, who was my bestie in 7th and 8th grade at Claremont Academy. Hi, Jules.
Okay, well, no. No.
So good to see you. We can't hear you.
Oh, they can't hear. They can't hear me.
No, we can't hear Julie.
We got a technical issue.
She's got something with her headphones. Honey, I think your microphone part of your headphones isn't working. Julie. All right, now next to Julie, another late arrival to the party is Grammy Pat. Now, Andrea knows Pat. Remember Pat from Maine? And Cubby knows her, but he just disappeared. Where did he go? He may be back, my son. Or maybe he left. I'll have to look in the chat box. Okay, Sarah's going by. Sarah, thank you. Oh, here comes Cubby.
Where's Pat?
I'm right here.
Cubby, Grammy Pat's here.
Woo!
Come see your grandmother. Yes. Hi.
Kathleen.
Hi, Grammy.
Kathleen. Hi. The first time I ever saw you in my life, you had on a t-shirt with a big cat on the front of it, and you were standing in Wilton in the den. I'll never forget it. What a good
Grammy
sport.
Pat.
Hi, I can't see you because I only can see 4 people at once.
How come?
Oh!
Hi, Grammy.
Hi there.
How are you? Wonderful to see you.
Thank you. It's raining in Maine.
Yay.
There's John
for-
Smith.
Hi, Pat.
Hey there, John.
Hey, Peter, do you have something more to play for us?
Well.
Since
you asked. I might.
215.
Go.
Oh, it's Adele. Oh, wait a minute. Here comes.
Hey.
Hi, Adele.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you?
Now and then,
There's Peter's audio.
just to see who comes back again. You know,
Because we're all
appropriate.
song.
Chris, is my mic working? Hello, test.
Since we're wrong.
When we were in college, we were sure we'd live forever, but forever doesn't seem so long. We were certain we would lose our. No, we were certain we would keep our hair, our nails.
Moving right along.
But we were wrong. Okay, that was from our 40th reunion talent show.
Oh my God.
Oh, I thought you were just, you know.
Making it up as I go along.
Peter's audio.
No. Okay, now wait a minute. I have to introduce
through.
somebody else who just got here. Jeff Eagle, screenwriter extraordinaire, minor league baseball wannabe. Was that what it is? And former movie star. I was talking about you because a guy came without a shirt on. And I said, you came to
You
our
thought it was him?
group without a shirt on. And we asked you if you had clothes on and you said you were wearing socks. So, you know, given your background in the porn movie industry, my imagination just went wild, Jeff.
Imagination. Happy birthday.
Yes,
Did I miss the cake?
you did.
Back in the freezer, it's an ice cream
Oh.
cake, but we could bring it out again for seconds.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
My husband, however, has fallen asleep because he worked the ICU shift all night last night. Fortunately, not with a COVID patient, but a heart patient. So, but he has had a few COVID patients. So,
And how's that been going, Corinne?
well, now Julie calls me Corinne, which is proof that she's known me since I was 12. That's one of my family nicknames. Well, it's been tiring for him, you know. But when it first started out, they were a bit short of protective gear. But this is in Scottsdale, but they got that together. They still have plenty of ventilators. The biggest problem is actually not supply, it's staff. The nurses don't want to work extra shifts because, you know, they're tired and they don't want to get sick. And they really need more people, you know.
Nobody has said like Cuomo, come here, help.
Well, we sent quite a lot of people to New York, actually.
No, I know, but there's nobody who's asked people to come back. Neither in Houston, neither in Arizona. Nobody has called.
Well, Chris has a travel nurse friend who just came back to Arizona from, where was Nate, in Illinois?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, Chris, whatever in travel assignments, they're going wherever they will anyway. He's not being called to work by any sort of like.
It's not a state thing. But the hospitals have pools of people they can call on. You know, people who, like some of the nurses that took care of me when I had cancer were just like per diem people. They were retired and they just did like 2 shifts a week at the cancer center. So there are those people kind of around.
That's what I am now. I'm like a per diem type of employee at the hospital.
Yes.
But I basically try to work the minimum number of shifts that I have to, just because my life is busy enough to where, you know, it's busy. I mean, those shifts in the emergency department, you're on your feet for 12 hours. I mean, and a busy day. You're the whole time. So.
Arizona has 22% positive rate. Your hospitals, you're going to have a volume coming in for the next 3 to 6 weeks, which is what happened in New York. And nobody is calling in staff to help you guys.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't know exactly that. I don't know exactly that we have a staff shortage currently, I mean, we don't even have enough units open right now. So like I just had to transport a patient a couple days ago from Santa Cruz County all the way up to Phoenix, which round trip ends up being a 6-hour transport for me.
That's crazy.
Because there literally wasn't a COVID unit bed available in Tucson. And in fact, I know there was another transport that went out on the same shift as mine where it was the same deal. So yeah, I mean,
I'm so scared
it has ebbed and
for you guys.
flowed. It has ebbed and flowed over the past several months in these ICUs, COVID units, and in the emergency department, which fields a lot of these patients. You know, it's ebbed and flowed. There are days when it's slammed, and then there's days where it's crickets. So it's kind of hard to staff that. It is a challenging thing, and that is one of the factors that weighs in on the personnel that are on the ground actually dealing with people, because on a given shift where management doesn't anticipate it to be a really busy shift, we're understaffed, and now all of a sudden it's very stressful for the people who are there, because you're, you know, if you have multiple sick patients in your zone that you're taking care of, you know, it's just really stressful. It's hard to.
And it's only going to become even more unpredictable. And I am sad for the front line.
Me too.
It's unfortunate for, yeah, it's unfortunate for everybody, and it's really unfortunate for the people who get it. You know, and yeah, it's definitely challenging for nurses. I feel really, my heart goes out to nurses who I think are pretty much taking the brunt of it. I mean, those who are working with, you know, in emergency departments, and those who are working in COVID units and ICU nurses, because they're really the ones that have the most direct contact for the longest periods of time with very sick patients. And there's just so many complicated stories going on now. I mean, like I heard a story the other day about a patient that was, you know, he had special needs, and, you know, he was in his 40s, and he had to be separated from his caretaker, who is his sister. He was COVID positive, and it was just a challenging experience to try and communicate with him, you know, while delivering him health care. And then, you know, his sister ultimately came down with COVID, and then ultimately passed from it. And so it's just like a very layered and complicated thing. So I think some of that stuff is really weighing on some of the people who are dealing with
fighters,
patients, just because
they're dealing with it day to day.
Yeah, it's such a concentrated amount of mortality and things going on, that it's like, you know, and I mean, and I'll be the first to admit it, you know, when you work in that profession, you know, sometimes there is a bit of a bravado that comes with it, because, you know, it's hard to constantly be emotional about everything, because if you are,
forget it.
It just doesn't really work. So, you know, but I think that, yeah.
I'm going to cut this off quickly because
Sure, yeah.
we have
Sorry, didn't mean to go down that road.
a couple of new arrivals. First, I want to point out Bruce, who is in Japan. So thank you for joining us, Bruce.
Wow.
And Vicki Judson, who also joined us, who is in Bethesda. Are you in Bethesda now, or are you someplace?
I am in Bethesda,
You're
yeah.
back in Bethesda. Have you retired yet?
Yes.
Yay! So, wasn't yesterday your birthday, honey?
Yes, it was.
Happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday to you too.
Happy birthday.
Is this your big 6'5" too?
No, I have one more year till then.
Well, you're so smart. See, in our class, she's like one of the smartest kids in the class, and she's only 64.
No, 29.
Were you put ahead a year in elementary school, Vicki?
I skipped my senior year of high school.
There you go.
Without a diploma, and people would give me those matchbooks, you know, earn your high school.
Oh yeah. So you two, so Corinne, could you go around and just briefly talk about how you know everybody?
Yes. I've been doing this, and I'm going to start with
if
you.
you already did it, that never mind, because I joined
Well,
late.
anyway, but my son, Chris, AKA Cubby, who went to RISD for 2 years, Julie lives in Providence, very close to the campus.
Cool.
And Julie and I were besties in like 7th and 8th grade.
You
We
said that.
sang together in the choir and the glee club. Were you still around for Madrigal Group, or did you go off to?
I left then, but Corinne and I were in Pirates of Penzance.
Yes.
And Corinne was Dick Deadeye.
Yes, I was.
And I was Samuel. And so we were, you know, Samuel was reported to Dick, right?
It was a all-girls school, so.
Yeah, so
I
like being a pirate. That was fun.
Don't you remember in 6th grade, I was Christopher Columbus, and then when we did Julius Caesar, I don't know if you were still there. 8th grade, I think we did Julius Caesar, and we squirted the ketchup when I sat. Oh, it was a great production. Really.
Yeah. Sounds that way.
Anyway, so that's Julie. Okay, I'm going to keep going. There's quite a few publishing people here, and there's quite a few book club people here.
Brad's down there.
I see Brad.
Happy birthday, Kathy.
Good to see you. Happy birthday to you. It was just your birthday.
Yeah, a couple days ago. Yep.
And I want everybody who knows that I'm politically incorrect, that because I love Brad so much, I gave $45 to an extremely, what should we call it? Liberal, well, a good what is
no.
The Equal Justice Initiative.
Equal Justice Initiative, okay? So I did my bit, okay?
Kathy.
Thank you.
The next day I had to give money to was it you, Vicky? Were you? I only gave your people 10 because I had spent so much money on Brad. Yours was the NAACP, right? And I thought, oh God, I'm I can't keep giving this money away. My medical bills are coming in. Anyway.
I had a Potomac Conservancy option too.
Oh well, I thought I would give it to the NAACP.
I'm glad you did. It's a good cause.
Need it more right now.
I used to live in Bethesda on Grosvenor Lane. Do you know that street?
Oh sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, one of my daughters was born there.
Oh, neat. I live close to the Glen Echo Fire Station, if you know that.
It's been 50 years ago, or 52. So.
Okay, so let me.
Right next to the Grosvenor Mansion, though. Alexander Graham Bell's mansion on Grosvenor Lane. I lived right next door.
Wow. Huh? So I'll start with Ginya since she was just talking. Ginya is the hostess with the mostest in Tucson. She's very involved in the Tucson Festival of the Book, or the Tucson Book Festival, whatever.
A Festival of the Books.
Festival of the Book, and she selects authors and.
I'm a nonfiction person.
So actually, Ina and I were. Do you remember when Jonathan Kozel published the book about the high school in East St. Louis? Ina, and I can't remember if Algonquin published it or Random House at that point, but I remember. I think it was Random House. I remember going to a big book signing thing at ALA with him. And anyway, Ginya is telling me that, and I saw him out here at the Tucson Festival of the Book, and she's telling me what a pain in the ass he was.
My God. It took me 3 years to get him here. And I mean, I persevered. I was so determined to get him here. He comes, he won't even talk to me. He insisted that we buy insurance for canceling, which we didn't need to buy. He wouldn't come. He insisted that he stay in the Del Sol Resort instead of Westward Look. I mean, he had all of these criteria at the very last minute. We had all these meetings set up for him with the education department and all that kind of stuff. I have never, in the 12 years I've been doing this, I have never had such a pain in the ass author ever. So
we know all about those kinds of people, don't we?
It definitely was Algonquin. Algonquin published. Hello, Adele.
Did we not publish that?
And no, we published a different book about East St. Louis by a coach.
Oh, that's right. But
Right,
we
the
did some
right, it was called The
publicity
Right
with
Kind of Heroes.
them. Right.
Right.
Okay.
But Elizabeth Charlotte, who was Algonquin's publisher, had published Jonathan Kozol in a previous life at Random House.
Okay. We had a joint publicity thing, I think, with Random House. I thought we did something at ALA together. But anyway.
And did Elizabeth say never again?
I don't think so.
All right, now look, this will make it easier. If you know me from publishing, raise your hand.
Oh, good idea.
Okay, because there's a lot of people here. Some of them work
two.
together.
Two.
You published me.
Three.
I don't, no, Cubby, put your hand in. I
Okay,
only
so
see
now,
two.
if you know me from Harvard undergrad, raise your hand.
Well, that's.
Okay, there's some okay. And if
Fritz is
you
gone.
know me
Wait, so
from,
all of you were in Kathy's class at Harvard, the three who raised their hands?
yes.
Yes.
And there
then
were some more, but they've already
publishing,
left.
the publishing, were you colleagues or did you have books that
Mostly
someone
colleagues.
published? So
Mostly
you all work together.
At different places at different.
Yeah, we worked at different places, but we
Oh, okay.
interacted.
Okay,
And
so
DC.
next, Arizona.
If you used to be my mother-in-law, raise your hand. That's Remy Pat. And if you're in my DC Harvard Book Club, raise your hand.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay.
Oh,
And I had some people from my Arizona Book Club here or my church, but they've all left. I think it was the cussing that sent some of those church ladies away.
Kathleen,
Or the-
Kathleen, we
What?
need to make sure that Virginia Bryant has a reason to raise her hand.
I did. I'm a publishing friend.
Oh, you're publishing, sorry.
Yeah.
It's dark back there. I didn't see.
I
the
know.
hand
I
go
have
up.
to. I had to
So
turn my
just
AC on. Now I have to turn a light on.
If you're my second cousin, raise your hand. Come on, Dave. Come on, Dave. And yeah.
Kathleen, I also just want to comment, others may have already, but I love the crown, and I assume there's a balloon with 65.
Okay, all kinds of humor, all kinds of.
I really love the decor and the costume.
Well, I mean, it's politically incorrect, but I got it at Hobby Lobby. And
Oh my gosh, Hobby Lobby.
I know, I should have gone to Michael's,
Against them. Oh my gosh.
Oh, good.
but I
We might have to hang up now.
okay, I had to get some scrapping materials because a gentleman who was on about 20 minutes ago, my old choir director, Julie, it just retired. And I'm my choir out here. And
I was thinking
no,
Fred
not Fred
DeHaven.
DeHaven. No, not Fred DeHaven.
Mr. Bohr, please take the gum out of your mouth.
We got in a lot of trouble with that guy. Oh my God.
I'll bet.
When I think about it now, we really were pretty good kids. But at the time, I was consumed with guilt over all the things that I did. I was always talking in class. I was not frequently chewing gum. Julie and I passed notes. Would it have been Algebra 1? I mean, we passed notes in a lot of classes.
We did.
We could have published.
Julie, where do you live now, Julie?
I live in Providence, in Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
Everyone says Providence, Rhode Island. Even though it's the capital.
And she has a beautiful house, which she was just buying the last time I saw you. When
oh yeah,
Chris was at
yeah
Rich-
we don't live there.
We don't live there anymore.
Nope.
Oh well.
Oh well.
And what?
Yeah, and Chris went to RISD for 2 years.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
So I used to pop into Providence now and then. I got to see Julie again. I tried to invite Martha O'Reilly to this party.
Oh.
But Martha Alexander, she is, I think. Have you seen her lately?
Well, I've seen her a little bit because Owen is at Yale and she lives in New Haven.
So I saw her in 2013. I thought she was already starting to have some memory loss.
Oh.
You
Oh,
don't
no.
know? Okay, I just find her a little bit like, I sent her the link for this on, I posted on Facebook. I sent it to her through Facebook.
KDB, KDB,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
like Mather House.
All right.
Look,
Okay. Sorry.
it's like Mather House.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to talk about stuff that isn't of universal interest. How about
Oh,
Jeff
okay.
Eagle? Tell us what you're working on, Jeff.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
oh,
working
I'm
on
so-
a new screenplay and a new memoir.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to have the screenplay. Hoping to have the screenplay up by the fall, or at least before the end of the year.
Great.
What's it about?
I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I can't.
You'd
I
have to
can't.
kill
Have you written other screenplays before? I mean, are you a screenplay writer? Is that
Yeah.
your
He's
profession?
a brilliant screenplay writer.
Oh.
Just won an award.
Oh,
Wow.
For
All kinds of
what?
awards.
Farewell Barley June. See, I can even remember the.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also an
congratulations.
actor.
Congratulations.
He's an
Thank you.
actor.
Yep. TV actor and maybe some movies.
In the 80s, he was in, you were in quite a few TV dramas and things. If you look him up on the IMDb, you can see his resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you work out of? Where are you in Tucson, or are you out
Yeah, I'm in,
LA?
I'm in
or-
Tucson. I'm in
Oh,
Tucson
you're
now.
in Tucson.
He's
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
part of our screenwriting group.
Uh-huh. Oh,
But he went
interesting.
to NYU Film School. He used to live in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Right, New York and LA. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Now I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's hear from Brad Andrews, who still works at Random House.
Yep.
Kathleen, I have to jump out.
No problem.
Who has to jump out?
Kathleen, I have to jump out.
Okay, Dave. Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
It was so nice. It was so nice wishing you a happy birthday and meeting all your wonderful friends. You have such an interesting group of friends. You're so blessed.
Thank you. Love you, Dave.
Have a good day, everyone.
Okay.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, Brad Andrews, you're up.
It's my turn.
Yeah.
I'm Brad in Brooklyn. Used to be a hot spot. Now it's moved over to your corner of the
Yeah.
world.
You know me, Brad.
Yes.
Tell them about Kafka.
Oh boy, yeah. Our trial. Well, when I don't know who it was talking about, Jonathan Kozel, but difficult authors. We could
I
tell
was.
some tales out of school, right? Kathy, you and I.
Oh, yes, Joy Hakem. She was at the top.
Difficult
I
author.
remember Joy Hakem.
You
I'm
can-
not even in the publishing industry.
Yeah, we had some good times though selling those books.
Yeah, we sure
Actually did.
So Brad, are you in the marketing end at Random House, or?
I'm in the sales end. I work in the it's the publisher services division. So we have all the distributed clients. I knew KDB from Oxford. That was my previous publishing stint, and worked for
I
her.
have fallen in love with you already. You are the only other person I know who calls her KDB.
I love that.
I love it.
KDB.
Like
Very cute.
KDB.
I don't know. That's
I call her
better than
KDB all the
Crim.
time.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
Anyhow, I've been at PRH, Penguin Random House, now for 10 years. My 10-year anniversary was in March. That was literally
Congratulations.
the week that the all the publishing houses told their employees to start working from home because of the pandemic. That was when I celebrated my 10-year anniversary.
Aw.
So it didn't really get celebrated, but I'm in sales in the publisher services division. I was selling to Barnes and Noble, but then I got moved over to the Ingram team, which I'd been selling also at Oxford. My last couple years at OUP, I was selling to Ingram. So now I'm back selling Ingram again, although I don't get to go to Nashville. I don't get to go anywhere.
Huh.
No one does.
Right.
Yeah. Wow, interesting. So how is that in Brooklyn? How?
Brooklyn is it's been quiet. I mean, this weekend's been quiet, but I don't know. I've gone through kind of an interesting summer. My wife and daughter are away. They're in Michigan right now at my mother-in-law's place. My wife's a New York City school teacher, and when the schools shut down and she was working from home, the three of us, my 10-year-old and her and I, were all Zooming all day long. That got to be somewhat claustrophobic. And then she decided that since she wasn't going to be going back into a classroom anytime soon, that she and our daughter road trip to northern Michigan, where they've been hanging out for the past few weeks.
How north? How lovely.
Yeah, pretty far north. It's in a little town on Lake Michigan called Harbor Springs. If you've ever heard of it, it's pretty far north.
Or is it up in the UP?
Not quite. It's about 20 miles from the UP. So if I'm doing the Michigan hand, it's like right here.
Okay.
Are you thinking of joining them?
I am. I'm home with our cats, and I wasn't sure at the time whether I was going to be going back into the office or not, but now it looks like I'm not going back anytime soon. So I may road trip up there. The thing is, my 78-year-old mother-in-law is not in the best of health, and I don't want to risk, giving her anything. So I would have to self-quarantine for, I don't know, 10 days or 2 weeks, which is about as much time as I would be vacationing up there.
Now, when you say you won't be coming back into the office anytime soon, do they give you any idea of when?
They really haven't. Well, originally they were saying not till Labor Day, and now it's really up in the air. Could be January.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time.
Yeah.
Have there been
Well, could you go up there and quarantine and work from home and not take your vacation?
I could relocate for an indefinite period, probably.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to join. I'm going to do a trip, I hope, to California, and I booked an Airbnb to quarantine. And they clean them first and, offer to help. So that's an option.
Brad, I followed the adventures of your very bad kitty on Facebook.
Yeah, that's how I celebrated my birthday.
I had a cat.
What did that do?
In a vet hospital with a 6-year-old cat who literally threw herself off of the neighbor's roof.
Oh no!
4-story fall. She gets out all the time, and
Wow.
and it's usually not an issue, but she got stuck on the roof next door, and I went to rescue her by having to knock on a neighbor's door at 7 o'clock in the morning and asking if I could have access to this person's roof. And then when I went over to the edge of the roof to get my cat, she decided she didn't want to be gotten, so she jumped.
So you watched her jump.
I watched her jump. And then miraculously, as I guess the 9 lives thing comes into some
Did she land on her
relevance.
feet?
She landed on concrete. It's about a 50 or 60 foot drop, and she landed on concrete in an alley, which I had to rescue her from. But she's okay. She's beat up.
No broken paws.
She's no broken paws. Her face is kind of scratched up, and she might have some. She might have fractures in her jaw, but.
And this happened on your birthday?
This happened on my birthday.
Oh my God.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, not funny, haha, but 2 years ago, on my birthday, also, she did the same thing.
Oh, good Lord.
She fell off the roof 2 years ago, or jumped off.
You know what? Can I say something?
She wants attention.
When you take your cats to Michigan,
Yeah.
please drive them here and I will adopt them because your cat is telling you something.
I am the perfect foster.
Cat
foster
whisperer.
mom.
She doesn't like city life. She wants a country house. So she's
Oh.
So listen, could I drop my kids off there too?
Yeah. Good.
Now, I want to hear from Bruce Samuelson, and then I want to hear from Adele, and then I want to hear from Bruce Corsino. Everybody. Bruce Samuelson, you're up.
Hi, I'm Bruce Samuelson. I met Kathleen through publishing. The company I worked for many years, we distributed the OECD publications to libraries. And I guess we probably met at trade shows a lot. And I've been on some of these ALA birthday dinners that you've mentioned earlier, which were absolutely lovely.
Vegas was good.
And apparently the tradition was Kathleen would foot the bill, so it was like.
Oh my!
So I've probably met one or two of you at one of those dinners over the years.
You met Brad Andrews in Chicago.
And,
if you can.
Yeah, I remember that one.
and we've just stayed in touch. You know, when she comes to DC, you know, I see her when we can. And actually my son, when she drove out to Arizona from DC and moved all her stuff and hired the van or whatever it was, my son drove across with her.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I met your son.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah, he's a good guy. I met him.
Oh, you met him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I'm so happy to see you well, and
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
just so happy.
Yep.
And without the
Me
Guy
too.
Fiorino hair, you know, that white hair.
Guy Fieri or Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
Diners, dive-ins, and drives. That was Kathleen.
Pro.
Yeah. Straight.
Which, Julie,
spice.
I will say, have you been to, what's the restaurant? I want to say it's
In Washington or with
yeah,
you?
Julie. No, in Providence. Guy
Oh.
Fieri did a show at one of the restaurants in Providence that it's, the name is escaping me at the moment, but I
Well,
want to say
is it a very well-known Italian restaurant? Like
Yes.
Al Forno?
no, it's not. It's not a fancy joint. It's like
Okay.
kind of the greasy spoon. If you were
What's the recipe? What's the thing he cooked?
everything. That is kind of their theme.
Wow.
There, is that, like,
Right,
literally
right.
You go in there and it's breakfast like 24 hours a day, and they've got everything from hamburgers to waffles and.
Can you tell food
So,
is an
Chris,
important
where-
part of
where-
Cubby's life?
It is if you were heading towards Wickenden Street.
Yep.
on
Is it
Thayer.
on Wickenden?
I think it was on Thayer, actually,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken. As you're heading down the hill, it would be on the right-hand side. I can't remember the name of it, but in any case.
Is that Gussie?
Yeah, Gus.
Hey, Gus.
Gussie.
Oh.
My favorite dog besides my own. Oh.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
oh, such a good doggy.
Her birthday was on June the 4th. She's 12 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
So shall
So
we go
Chris-
back
Chris,
to
how
Bruce?
much- Oh, yeah.
Shall we go back to Bruce?
The other
Hi,
Bruce.
Bruce. How did we
And
meet
Bruce.
you?
Me?
Yeah, you were doing a
Oh.
Then
You
we-
were
Uh, no,
you
I,
have a
I was.
new life in Japan.
I do, but I was interested in this Jonathan Kozel story because there was one time I was speaking in Atlanta and I was doing a program with this fairly peculiar person that is no longer with us. Her name was Joyce Brothers.
Oh my God.
Dr. Joyce Brothers?
Yeah,
Brothers.
and so the producer and the assistant, they picked me up at the airport, and I get in the car and they're laughing and they saying, "Hey, we just dropped off Joyce Brothers at the hotel." I said, "Okay, well, what's the story?" They said, "Well, when she gets off the plane, she hands the producer and the assistant a whole set of new sheets, right? And a box of glasses, right? Drinking glasses. And she says, these must be brought into the hotel room and put into my, into her stuff. And then just before she leaves, she looks at the producer and the assistant and she says, and I want strawberry preserves in my room in the morning. And I don't mean jam, I mean preserves.
Oh, good Lord.
just how eccentric some of these celebrities are, just crazy.
Email Jonathan Kozol.
But no, life in Japan is quite different in many ways.
Where are
Generally,
Yeah.
I live in Tokyo. But in relation to the COVID stuff, it's quite different because Japan was always kind of an antiseptic society, and they're getting paid a heavy dividend for that right now.
Right.
So you got 135 of the million densely packed people, and there's less deaths here than Westchester County. I mean,
amazing.
There's nothing. And just this week, they had to announce that they had to suspend all the research about various treatments that might help the disease because they don't have enough sick patients to do the testing trials.
Wow.
Right. So it's quite different here. Life is more or less normal. We go wherever we want. We go to restaurants. We walk in the temples, and so it's
no masks.
No, we all wear masks. I should say that's. But keep in mind that the Japanese people wore masks and never touched each other long before COVID came out. So you see kids, 8-year-old kids on the trains by themselves, by the way, because there's no crime here, by themselves, but they're all wearing masks at 7 and 8 years old. They think nothing of it. So it's kind of a nice place to wait out the trauma.
Bruce, do you have
yes.
a spare bedroom? Do you have a spare bedroom?
Americans can't get into Japan.
Bruce, how long have you been there in Tokyo?
I saw things getting nasty with COVID toward the end of March, and I made a decision to escape on the 22nd of March.
Wow.
And I flew back here, and on the 24th.
You were in the U.S. and then you flew to
But
Tokyo.
you had been to Japan a lot.
Yeah. So
that was your second home. You were back
so
and forth.
I was spending. I stopped work relatively as a younger person, so I wanted to have a kind of a different kind of a life, and that Japan offers that to me. So I've been coming here for about 5 or 6 months a year for the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. And I'm sorry, you know Corinne from Kathy from publishing?
Yeah, from book club. Book club. Yeah, Harvard Book Club.
Book Club.
Yeah.
You were in the same class at Harvard?
No. She was, and anybody that graduated from Harvard and that lives in the DC area can join the Harvard Book Club.
Okay.
And so,
and it's an anomaly that Vicki, me, and Kathy are all from the same year. It really is.
That's strange.
It's really strange.
Yeah, that's pretty
the
unusual.
three of us are together from the same year because it's the youngest graduates all the way up to who's the oldest? JJ.
Yeah.
That's a great
nice
thing to do.
Yeah, it's a nice group. Now, I would say that my life is not completely untouched by COVID. I had a 97-year-old mother that was living in Leesburg, Virginia, just
Mhm.
outside of DC, in a nursing home, and was doing quite well. But you know, these days it's a different world. And she got COVID in the nursing home that the
Oh.
nursing staff had brought in, but she was dead within 10 days with no
Oh, your
no
mom?
other lying. Yeah, and so you have to do
JJ,
the.
this is recent. This is recent.
Yeah, this is only 2 weeks ago. So
And you in
you have to,
Tokyo.
yeah, you have to do the cremation, and everything is done virtually and by phone and Skype. So it's a very strange world.
Interrupt because my dear friend Ren has just joined us. Hey, Ren.
Hey.
And Ren and I also taught together in Nanjing. Ian was on earlier, but he had to go teach.
Yeah, I was walking my dog and getting on Zoom earlier.
And my son is here. I don't know if you can see him.
Hi,
No? Maybe. I see part of him, but there's something written across. Stop.
Oh.
Oh, there he is.
Sounds like you have a
Good.
ferocious
Hey.
beast with you there, Ren.
I'm sorry. I had
That's
this-
okay.
Stop it.
It's a dog-friendly party. We've had several.
I need to play with him. And I just got back from a walk. He's sometimes not good manners. So, I mean, I'm doing the best I can here, you know, with him.
Okay, Ren is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia, suburb of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
My hometown.
Huh?
I'm originally from Atlanta.
Who? Oh, you. Okay. Hi. I don't know you. What's your name?
I'm Brad. I worked with KDB, with Kathy years ago at Oxford.
Well, that's good. Who?
Before she went to China.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about Oxford. I was an ESL teacher before I went to China, and I ordered a lot. Had a good salesman. Ordered, set up their, this county's ESL program, and so I ordered a lot from Oxford. Good company.
I lived in Atlanta for a year in
That's right.
1980,
Oh.
and lived on near the High Museum in
Yes.
Ansley Park.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah, that was a nice.
CNN when they first started?
I did. I went to work at the CNN was in the ladies' locker room of a country club. Ted Turner had Turner Broadcasting System on the first floor, and all the executives were on the second floor, and CNN was in the ladies' locker room. And I started January of 1980, and when they filled in the swimming pools with the satellite dishes and cleared out the kudzu and paved Paradise and put in a parking lot. The tennis courts of the country club were made into a parking lot. So we made a lot of mistakes, but
So you started out with CNN.
yeah, well, I worked for 3 years at CBS, and then I wanted to get into news, and heard about this 24-hour news station starting up in Atlanta. So I moved down. Corinne, my pop put me on the train. I had these really big Advent speakers and my duffel bag, and Pop put me on the train and moved down to Atlanta in 1980.
So how did you feel about it?
I didn't like Atlanta too much. I
I know.
felt landlocked. I grew up on the water, so I felt
Yep.
very we
Mhm.
went to Lake Lanier.
Yeah.
And I just got a flashback. A bunch of us from CNN went out for a picnic for Lake Lanier, and one of them was a director from Chicago, Mike Allen, and he's black. And we were out there, and this guy came out of the woods like Deliverance and said, "Get that nigger out of here." Mike was like, "Okay, well, we're
That's too
leaving."
bad.
And
That
it
was
really.
what? When was that? 80?
That was 80.
80. I remember, well, see, I was living in Idaho, believe it or not, in the mountains then, but I would come home often to visit my mother in North Florida, near Tallahassee. So I was at my mother's when Ted Turner got on television. I just couldn't remember what year it was. And I was at my mother's, and he was asking for money. I mean, I wouldn't believe it if I had not. He'd send me a donation so we can stay on the air, something like that. Do you remember? You don't remember?
When it was just starting out?
Very beginning.
Oh yeah. It was touch and go. Yeah. We had this little graph, and I remember the subscribers. It was in pen. It's like,
Wasn't it the first Gulf War that
50
lifted CNN out of debt? It was the first Gulf War.
Yes. They were in Baghdad. Yeah. Bernie
I
Shaw.
remember.
1991.
What was his name? His name, the main
Shaw?
guy.
Bernard Shaw? Bernard Shaw?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't it him? And there was a movie about that, and he was standing right at the window while they were bombing, and he said, "Oh, this is wonderful," you know.
Oh, I know who
Everybody else was hiding under something. I don't know. Was it Bernard Shaw? I think it was at this hotel in Baghdad.
Yeah.
So, how is the birthday lady?
Well, I'm fine. I'm kind of reminiscing because when Julie was down there, I went to, I can't remember now if I went to work for Oxford in 80 or 81. I was still in Harvard Square managing a bookstore. And, but when I started out for Oxford, I was the New England Traveler. And, you know, that was the first women they ever hired. To do sales and publishing was just 1980, and then within about a decade we had taken over, you know, of the sales and marketing. But we didn't have really cable TV yet. And you know, when you're on the road, and now the last 25 years that I was on the road, you know, I always watched cable TV. That's how you found out and see what the hell was going on when you were in your car. 5 hours a day. But I remember those early days. We didn't have computers. I don't think we had fax machines yet. And I would have to, Brad knows this, the backlist at Oxford, we had a catalog, we had 10,000 books in print, and now it's probably more. But I mean, if someone special ordered something, which they did in all these academic towns I went to, I had to write it up. Because we had the
by hand
order form that had like the bestsellers and the new seasonal list. But I'd have to look up the book in the catalog, find the ISBN, write the whole thing out on, you know, in triplicate or quadruplicate, whatever, quadruplicate, and then mail it in and hope that it got there. And then the next time I'd come back to that store, say it was the one in South Hadley, Mass, Romeo Grenier's store. He's dead, but his daughter still runs it. I read about them the other day. They would always have a index file of special orders that all the professors from the 5 colleges wanted to order. And then I'd go in there and they'd pull out and they'd say, well, this one didn't come and this one didn't. And then I'd have to get on the phone with customer service at Oxford. Now, there was a woman I was hoping was going to join this party tonight, Elizabeth Mueller Wales. Andy's left. Her brother was in our class, but she was my person in the office. She was like sales administrator. So she was the person I would call when something went wrong. And if it was,
I haven't left.
Oh, you haven't?
I just didn't want people watching me pick my nose, so I went silent. Sorry. I know how these things work. I don't have to watch. So I'm still here.
Okay. So, you know, it was definitely, I think, for our generation of women, there was a lot of trailblazing going on. Definitely in the news media, definitely in publishing. I think it's
definitely in sales.
Yeah, in sales. Oh,
And
Adele was, when did you?
that was good too. I used to go to meetings at Treasury. There were 25 men and me in the room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, government. So Adele, now you can chime in because you remember these days. When did you start selling for Workman? How old were you, or what year was it?
I was 33. And
Was it the late 70s?
so that was like 75. It was 1970, maybe 1974. And I started with Como Sales. And Como Sales had Workman, which was a fledgling.
You had the
and grew to be a monster. It didn't have any, it was just Workman. There was no Algonquin. There was no, there wasn't even a Stewart, Tabori, and Chang, which they had distributed first. You know, it was just Workman, and it was great. We had about 40 other lines through Como Sales too. But it was very different for me because I was one of the early females on the East Coast who was doing this.
In New York?
You do Lisa
In
Byrne.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania.
I do what?
Preppy.
The Preppy Handbook, Lisa Byrne.
Oh yeah, I was there pre-preppy.
She was in my high school class. I mean,
Well, Carol Wallace, who was one of the contributors and the editor, who I think really stayed with Workman, that my job, which previously had been Ina's job, is Ina gone? And
Tell that dog.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You tell that dog, Ren.
The puppy. Stop it there. What? So I'm fighting.
No, I first met Ina when Como Sales took on Zoetrope, and she was the sales manager.
Right.
So that's how far back. Anyway, Kathy, I want to wish you the best birthday ever. I am sorry we won't get to go to Burning Man, but maybe next year, sweetheart.
Burning Man.
Yeah, and
You were gonna
hopefully
drag
we all
her to
get our
Burning
money
Man.
back.
Got my money back. I got my
Did you
money.
get it?
Here's what I did. I
did it. I did the same thing. I went through my credit card company.
And I got my money back.
So we're just waiting for them to finalize it. They have credited us back.
Yeah.
But they keep telling us, you know, they're waiting to hear from the other, whatever. But, you know, we really feel badly that the three of us couldn't go, and it'll be something to look forward to next year if God is good and this coronavirus is done.
Yeah.
Are you guys,
Yeah.
are you and Mike going to try to go next year?
We'll see next year.
Right, right.
Right?
I'm in if you want.
Okay, girl, you are in. Hey, we're having the floors redone in the motorhome just for you.
Oh, great. They have a totally deluxe motorhome. That's why we're going to Burning Man in style. We're not pitching tents, you know.
Anyway, sweetheart, I love you, and I'm so glad to be able to celebrate your 65th.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Okay, I'll see you soon. Goodbye, everybody. Nice hearing
Meet
from
you.
you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
You know, Corinne, Annie and Amy are both in the Preppy Handbook. Did you know that? My sisters.
Her
So I'm still in touch with Lisa some. So
Oh. Huh.
I think I vaguely remember. I mean, I haven't looked at it in years.
Yeah, yeah.
well, what's really funny for me is she's the only person I know who calls me by my Hebrew name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Drinks.
So she's also Jewish, and I always found that funny that she was doing French.
I have to plug my computer in because it's starting to lose juice. So I'm moving out of the birthday background area.
can't
So
figure
how is
out
it,
why my-
Kathy, how is it in Tucson? How do you like, when did you move there?
Well, okay, so the story is that my mother and stepfather retired there in 1991. So I started going out to visit them with my son, and I quickly realized that this was going to be a good place for me to retire someday, because I would actually be able to afford it, unlike other places. I wasn't going to retire in place. And I didn't really.
You mean in DC, when you said in place, where was that?
Well, that's the whole problem with me. In place could have been Nanjing, China. It could have been Boston. It could have been New York. I mean, Washington, where I was the last. What's that?
What's that noise?
Andy, you're whispering and your mic is on.
Dictating.
Tell us Andy's voice.
I was dictating.
Her dictation's on.
Oh, okay.
Dictating something.
So anyway, you know, Julie, because I think you came to see me in Florida once, didn't you? Or that Linda Corey did. I can't remember if we ever hung out in.
Where in Florida were you?
When we were like in school. Did you ever come down to Miami?
Oh, with your parents?
Yeah, my father, my mother.
That sounds familiar.
I kind of remember body surfing with you.
Huh.
In the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
I've had so many pictures together. You know, we snuck out of our houses in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
We would ride our boat.
We smoked banana peels.
Smoked banana peels.
Really?
Yeah, that was a thing in 1960.
Yeah.
Yellow.
Yeah. We pretended we got high. Pretended. Whoa, yeah.
And we used to.
So what do you think?
We were in a lot of, as she said, we were in some musical productions together, and we were in choir together, and we just did a lot of stuff together. We rode our bike to school. We went to the beach. We went sailing together. Anyway, why Tucson? So they were here, and then my mother died at 66, actually, 66 and a half, massive heart attack. So then I had my stepfather to kind of look after, because he had a whole bunch of medical issues, including some mental health issues. So I was more and more coming to Tucson. And then when I moved to China, I moved back to China in 2001. I really made Tucson my legal residence in the United States. I got a driver's license here. I registered to vote. So technically, Tucson has been my tax home and my voting home since 2000. And I don't know, there wasn't really any place else I wanted to go particularly. I mean, if I had, you know, a lot more money, I would definitely have a summer place, someplace cooler, you know, but I've managed up until COVID, I've managed to freeload on my East Coast friends and relatives. And then they can come here in the winter. So it's a pretty good trade. But now I find living in Arizona that I am persona non grata in the states of Maine, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. So I don't know. And I don't know if they're letting us in Virginia or not, Andy. Is she still there? Or Vicky, she might be able to answer the question.
I think they are. And yeah, so far.
Wait a second. I missed something. Are we banned from going places?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, like, we can't go into Maine, you know.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there are 9 states that are banned, so you may be banned now.
I thought like Maine was requiring a self-quarantine. Like if you go there, you had to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes, but if you want to go up, like Owen and John wanted to go up and to climb Mount Katahdin over 4th of July, and they, you know, by the time they quarantine, they just want to go for a long weekend. And,
Right.
And you have to get the test, and you have to show that you're fine before you can park to camp. And, you know, you know, we're just going to stay local. but I mean, it's not terrible. You know, we're in a good place in Rhode Island.
You go to the
so-
beach
but-
there, Julie.
And you
What?
can check out Louis. That was the name of the
Oh,
restaurant.
Louis. Okay. Well, my last
On
name's
Brooks-
Lewis. So
Yeah, it's on Brook Street.
Louis on Brook Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of a greasy spoon, but you know.
Julie,
Okay.
do you go swimming now in Rhode Island? Do you go down to Newport or Watch Hill, or do you stay?
Oh,
What about
I
James?
just got a flashback to being with you in Watch Hill.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is? I don't know if I can say it on this
Are
Zoom.
you smoking banana peels again, Julie?
No, but Corinne, okay, I think I can tell this. All right, you ready for this story?
Sure. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
No, not yet. Okay,
Yeah,
go
my mom's
ahead.
face is
Oh.
getting pale.
Uh-oh. Okay, so I was with you, Corinne, and I think I was either with Bruce or Sam, but we went to Watch
Oh, God.
Hill one time with your father, and you know, your mom was probably there. I don't remember her, but we went to Watch Hill, and I remember we were climbing in the dunes, and we saw a couple
Oh,
in the
fornicating.
middle of it. Yeah,
Fornicating.
In
And
the
I just remember the bottom, you know, the guy's bottom, and
Bouncing.
I remember bouncing, and I remember
Fornicators.
Watch Hill, like we were watching in Watch
Oh, of
Hill.
course. Of course. I remember the first time that I was in high school or something, and I was probably up to no good in some parking lot in some condo complex, and I was with some friends, and we looked over and we saw the foggy windows on a car. You can't help but watch for a
Oh,
second.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. That was John.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, can you come here just a sec? Johnny.
He's running away.
Oh well.
They hate coming to these other.
I think I was yelling. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We live in a small apartment, so.
I remember that time, and I want to say it was my mother, not my father. That,
In the car?
No, that took us up to Watch Hill.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I was-
All right.
I was-
Maybe it was your mom.
You go with us to Block Island on our boat. Did you go on one of those trips with my brothers and me and my father to Block Island? Okay.
I maybe.
I think you might. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a long way.
Selective memory.
So funny that you remember that. I literally have not thought of that since it happened.
No, me neither. I just got this instant.
Julie, you say you live in a small apartment. Everything is relative. The average working person in Japan lives in about 200 square feet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. You're right. I know.
So
Yeah.
Bruce was is a
Yes.
medical ethicist. Talk about one of my more interesting friends, and a writer. And Bruce, what kinds of stuff are you doing in Japan that's different in your life? Are you still writing?
No, a couple of years ago, I morphed into a low quality, struggling blues musician. So I go from club to club so yeah, so I give concerts, I sing and play, and and the Japanese, it's a great audience because I'm unusual, and they're very accepting, so I can be quite produce very low quality stuff, and the Japanese are so courteous that they clap, right? So
Do you what instrument? Yeah, what's your
I
instrument?
play piano and sing. My version of Ray Charles. So it's got to be funny, right?
Don't you have some stuff on YouTube?
Yeah, I put out if I do studio recordings and they're of reasonable quality and that they're not embarrassing, then yeah, I'll post them for publicity purposes. So mostly if sometimes when you go to a venue, they say, well, we don't know who you are. You're off the street. You have to have something that they can listen to. So yeah, you have, these days the world is online, and if you don't have any sample recordings, then you don't exist. So
Are you on YouTube?
yeah, there's some on YouTube. You can you can have a ball.
Ask Kathy how to find you.
I'll send you a link.
I'd like to see one too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We've been speaking about, music. I was in a band when I was in New York, and we've recently reconnected and are trying to play, contribute tracks via GarageBand, and,
Sure.
we have a couple, we made the CD Songs from a Cellar in the early 90s, and, just uploaded it to, to SoundCloud.
So what do you?
Oh yeah.
And so we're trying to figure out, I'm just waiting for this mixer thing where I can take my old keyboard and input it into GarageBand. But
what do you play?
I play the keyboards.
Okay, great.
And it's rock and roll pop music.
Wow, great.
Some songs we wrote. So
Wonderful.
yeah, it's fun. We played in the basement a lot. We played out at friends' parties and stuff in New York.
My dad was a songwriter. That's how he made his living.
Oh,
wait a minute. This is Virginia's claim to fame, one of her many, but her father wrote, "Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus."
That's right.
Oh, wow.
He was Gene Autry's partner, business partner, songwriter.
I remember we.
Wow,
Yeah, that's so cool.
interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did he live in New York? Where did he?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles,
California.
Okay. Wow.
Wonderful.
So did you grow up with him playing in the house? And
My dad played trumpet and some keyboard, but he retired when I was 10. He had a heart attack. 43. So we left Southern California. We traveled for a couple of years, and we landed in Scottsdale.
And Virginia made a movie that you can buy, rent, download on Amazon or Google Play. I think I've watched it.
Different things, yeah. Amazon is the easiest, yeah.
I've rented it 3 times.
Really? Thank
So when
you.
get those royalty checks, baby, I want you to think of me.
Called Lucky You Ranch. Like the letter U, Lucky You Ranch.
So lovely. And the photography of Arizona and the Beeline train coming through is just fabulous. It's a great movie. In fact, Julie, it might even remind you a little bit of our childhood, although Virginia's a few years older than we are, but the softball scenes and the cafeteria scenes are so hysterical. I just love the movie. So
yeah, thank you, Kathy. It's about baseball and
it's a coming of age story.
Yeah.
Sort of early coming of age.
Baseball, bullying, and whatever. Yeah.
It's called Lucky You Ranch. Is that what you said?
The letter U, not Y-O-U. Lucky You Ranch.
Okay.
That was the name of the trailer park that my parents changed the name to that name because my uncle had a TV and radio show in LA called Lucky You Ranch that featured the Sons of the Pioneers.
Oh.
So
Well, who were the Sons of the Pioneers?
who were they? Oh my God.
Aren't they
Sorry.
Gene Autry?
They're still around. Roy Rogers was one of the Sons of the Pioneers.
That's one of my favorite drinks.
Oh, mine was Shirley Temple.
Yeah, I like that one too.
But Roy Rogers brings back my childhood. I don't know. Kathy might be too young.
Roy Rogers and
He
Gene
was
Autry.
I was a little girl, but he was still around in the late 50s.
Yeah, I remember him.
Ren, I think you and Ginger are about the same age. So
We went to every Saturday afternoon to the movies, all the children in town.
Right.
Little town. And it was Gene Autry or Roy Rogers usually.
Both of them. Yep. Yep. Gene Autry kind of invented a Saturday movie for cowboys. That was his thing. Yeah.
Well, and then in Palm Springs, there's a big street named for him.
Right. Yep.
So he must have been rich or something.
Oh, but
I mean,
but people don't realize this, but he was an amazing businessman.
he must have been.
No, he truly was from day one, a very hard worker, and later in life, a total alcoholic.
Oh, really?
He would fall off a champion. That's how drunk he would get. So
He would do what?
he would fall off,
Fall off the horse.
Yep.
Oh, that's so sad.
I know. But, you
'Cause
know,
he was
he
so
hardworking.
sweet.
He was very smart. My dad never liked him very much, but my dad was an alcoholic, and that probably at that time Autry wasn't, so maybe that was the problem. But they worked together though. He was vice president. My dad was so.
Mm.
And he wrote. My dad was the Western Songwriter of the Year in like 1945, something like that.
So Virginia, what's your dad's name?
My dad, Oakley Haldeman, Haldeman.
Mm-hmm. Oakley Haldeman.
Mm-hmm.
I always like that name.
Wow. Oakley.
Well, my grandmother's name was Oakley, so yeah.
My grandmother met Annie Oakley.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, she borrowed her costume at a party
Oh my God, how fun!
in Virginia and wore her whole.
Where in Virginia?
It was at Pinehurst. It was like at some club, some.
That's the golf place, right? No, Pinehurst.
Yeah.
Good.
Pinehurst is in North Carolina.
Oh,
Golf.
maybe that's
Okay,
what I'm
sorry.
thinking
Yeah,
of.
that's-
It
yeah,
was.
you're right.
I
It's like
think it was
desert in the
Pine-
middle of nowhere.
Oh, is it?
I think
Any-
that's right.
It was like a
Yeah.
I think I've been there.
Anyway.
I want to hear a little bit more from Virginia Bryant and Brad Andrews. They've been very quiet.
I'll let Virginia go. I've already heard about my cat story, so.
Crazy.
Are you going to keep teaching at GW, Virginia? Or not?
Talking to me?
Virginia, no, this one, Virginia Bryant.
Yeah, right.
Mute.
Oh,
Did she hear you?
we lost her.
Oh.
Oh, it might have been a connection
She
issue.
and I co-taught this course. There she is.
Oh, hi, Virginia. Can you hear us?
Virginia,
Can you hear us, Virginia?
can you hear us?
Doesn't look like it. Or she can, but she can't talk.
Yeah, looks like
Oh, I
she's
think she's messing
trying.
with the controls.
Looks like she's trying.
So-
From Virginia, suddenly having lots of technical. Do you see this message? She's
Yeah.
technical difficulty.
Mm. All right, Brad, that means you have to go.
What should I talk about?
Well, we've gone over Bad Kitty. We've heard about Nora and what's your wife's name again?
Katie,
Katie. I should be able to remember that.
Catherine. Yeah.
Nora looks lovely, by the way. She's growing up to be such a lovely young lady.
Thank you. I'll try not to take too much credit for that.
Where did you work together? Did you work
Oxford.
together?
Yeah.
Oh, Oxford, you're right, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Brad, let's tell them a story about Sacramento and Kafka. You were also
Bed and breakfast
Oh.
in Sacramento.
Graham,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to go. Yeah.
okay.
Bye, Julie.
Okay, nice to see everybody. Happy birthday.
Nice to meet you.
Happy birthday, Corinne.
Thank you.
I'll email you and catch up.
Okay.
People are calling you Quinn, like
Quinn,
Quin.
that's my childhood, Crin.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Sometimes referred to as krill.
Oh, that's my brother Sam.
Little baby shrimp.
Don't even go there. By the way, Cubby, Sam sent me a birthday card.
It's coming out of the cave.
A little bit. He's still kind of in the cave. I'll read it to you later. But anyway,
Why isn't he at the party?
he's a Luddite, Ginny.
Oh.
He is a Luddite. He doesn't even have a cell phone anymore.
Really?
Wow.
'Cause he's a deadly combination. He's a Luddite and he's cheap. Okay. But he did spring for a very nice card for me with a lovely sentiment. But he is like hunkered down in Florida where COVID is really out of control.
Right.
And, you know, he doesn't have a cell phone. He used to always just go to the library to do his email. He doesn't have a computer. I think he's got cable TV in his room. Staying like at a motel that a friend of his used to manage, but then died. I mean, it's a dark story with my brother. I've told him to come back out here, but now things here are a little bit better than Florida. But okay, let's just go back to Sacramento, circa 1998, summer of 1998, when Brad and I were working on the 5th grade social studies adoption for the state of California with our fabulous series of books, A History of Us.
Joy Haycom, yeah.
We stayed in, yes, with the author from hell, Joy Haycom. We stayed in a lovely B&B that somehow we found.
I think you found it.
I found it, but there wasn't even really, I guess there was an internet, but I don't think I found it on the internet. I think I found it some other way. Anyway, we stayed there because we had to spend, I don't know, 4 or 5 days in Sacramento going to these meetings and stuff. And so we're staying at this B&B, and now I'm going to let Brad take over from here because I'm a little rusty on the details. I know the punchline, that's all.
Yeah, the punchline. I was reading Kafka, and I guess the woman who was running the B&B, at one point she just mentioned, she said, "You like Kafka?"
Yes, she definitely had kind of Russian.
She was from Prague, I think.
She was from Prague.
Yeah, it was the way it was the whole like caught us off guard, caught me off guard.
It was and I thought surely was she the one? She was younger. I mean, she wasn't old. I thought she was just working there. Was she the one actually running it?
Maybe she was. I can't remember now. Yeah.
I think she was one of those imported Russian help, you know, that come to work in the hotel industry. And the way she said it was very sultry and seductive. And I thought that was Brad. I thought I was going to lose him. I thought he was going to like.
Yeah, I was single at the time too. That would have been perfect.
It was so funny. Anyway, that was
Brad.
All.
I like your shirt. What's the
Oh, this is you know the Talking Heads song, Once in a Lifetime?
Yeah.
It's diagrammed out there, you know.
Got you. Okay.
Cool.
That's cool.
You may ask yourself.
And you may ask yourself.
Right.
What am I doing here?
Where is that large automobile?
Yeah.
Where does that highway go to?
Great.
Hey, Chris, I have a question. I have something to tell you.
Sure.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell Laurel that the 17th Street Market in my neighborhood is opening up in a couple of weeks. She might want to bring flowers.
That is a wonderful suggestion, which I will most certainly pass on to her. In fact, actually,
it's opening. Seriously.
Yeah. I had just heard that the other day, and I had never been there. I never had been there before when it was.
I live on 16th Street, so it's a block away.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I'll say something to her about it.
Great.
Yeah.
We found out a little bit more about the Rincon market. Jimmy.
Oh, what did you find out?
Well, basically, so to make this interesting for everybody, this was a very good community market that closed down during the whole.
They were locked out by the landlord.
Well, yeah, they were locked out, but apparently, according to Laurel, the landlord, it's not University of Arizona.
No.
Landlord owns a whole bunch of real estate there. And other stores in that strip mall decided to stay open during COVID. And he decided not to stay open. So I guess he wanted the landlord to give him some kind of a break on the rent. And I guess the landlord, anyway, they're squabbling over it. It's not like he doesn't have enough money to pay the rent. It's like there's an issue about. So that's what's going on. That's the best.
Will it come back, do you think?
I don't know. I heard something else recently that maybe the old owners actually.
Paul now owns downtown
Gibson.
Johnny Gibson's market.
Yeah, I heard that they might come back in.
Okay. Yeah, I used to sell him baskets and make his gift baskets when
Huh.
he had the business years ago. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, Time Market has reopened,
That's
and
good.
so yeah, their food is very good.
But Rincon Market is one of a kind, you know, it can't go away.
Yeah.
And they have the best fish market in Tucson.
Yeah, Yuri.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good fishmonger.
There.
Yeah.
We're friends. I like.
Okay, so you know how important this is.
Yuri.
Yes, Yuri.
Oh, this is funny. I went in there one time and I couldn't remember his name, and I said, Vlad, right? You know my
I told Mom, I said, Mom, if you're ever really in the mood for a good piece of fish, you should go and see my friend Yuri at the market there. He's a great fishmonger. And she goes in one day and, just had
ethnic
rich names in her head or something. And she's like, oh, Vlad. Clearly, it's got to be slightly insulting.
Same country.
Sure.
Vlad the
Yeah,
Impaler.
You're saying the same thing.
Well, that makes me feel better because I do that with people's dogs. I'll say, okay, it's a Russian.
At least their feelings are a little bit easier to.
Yeah. But the parents might
Yeah,
get offended.
you're right. You're right. The
He was
parents-
thinking of the famous fisherman, Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad. Yeah.
So, Ben, what have you been up to during the whole COVID thing? You can't teach anymore, right? Or are you doing online?
Who are you talking to me?
Yeah,
No.
I'm talking to you, girl.
Who you talking? Who did you say?
I said, what have you been up to during the whole COVID thing?
Staying home and taking care of the dog, the puppy, and cleaning house, organizing. That's what I've been, and watching TV and reading, trying to keep up with political stuff.
Well, that'll keep
and COVID too.
Hey, Ren,
Yeah.
look at this little dog.
Oh, I can see the tail. Oh, yeah, cute.
Yeah.
Did you put that on Facebook?
I put her on Facebook all the time.
Okay. There was something about a little cute little dog, like a little video.
Oh, yeah. Well,
her.
they're-
Oh, you have two. That's so cute. See, now my dog is barking. My dog is in on it.
well, they're fighting over a toy now.
Can you hear mine in the background?
I do. I think we've
Yeah.
settled something.
My dog is very, very sweet. He's 10 months. But, he gets like this sometimes, like totally out of it. And I have one of those cage things. What do they call them? Anyway, I haven't put it together. The box, I've been using the box like for a gate, one of my staircases. And so I haven't put it together, but
Well, the dog sounds better than most husbands, though, right?
yeah, that's one thing. Somebody put on Facebook, a friend of mine, what will you not ever do again? And I said, get married.
There you go. Kathy, I want to wish you a happy birthday. It's 10:30 in the morning here. I've actually got to head out. So, well, be seeing you again, and congratulations. And this has been a lot of fun. So,
Thank you so much for coming. I'm so
yeah, sure.
International.
Nice
Great,
meeting you.
great fun.
Are you coming to book club on July the 14th?
I don't know yet. I'm still trying to.
Reading A Woman of No Importance?
No, the last one I read was Housekeeping.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have to make up my mind soon.
Importance. I'll tell you what I'm getting. I'm about halfway through. What
Yeah.
it's making me realize is that we're all a bunch of whiny babies, because these people that were involved in the French resistance,
Yeah.
and getting carted away to concentration camp, I mean, they really lived through some hard times. And, we're complaining, oh, I can't go to my graduation. I can't. It's like,
So, what's the name of that book?
It's called A Woman of No Importance.
Okay, I gotta write that down because.
Send it to you, Ren, when I'm done.
Oh, I'd love that. Because it's hard to find books now. You can't.
You know what I do now? I buy them on Amazon, use what I can, And as soon as I finish them, I try to give them away. Because as Brad knows, one of the problems in working in publishing is that you end up with like 3,000 books in your house.
Yeah.
Hubby grew up with it, and I feel like I have given books away. I mean,
Number of times I escaped death by, book pile almost falling on me. It's very hazardous.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Household.
got you into this business that you're in now.
Yeah. So anyway,
You had hazardous experience.
I will send you the this book when I'm finished, and if I have I might have a couple other ones that might be interesting that I'll send to you also.
Oh, the limited no.
That's nice.
No, if I'm going to bother to put a package together, I'll try to put 2 or 3 books in there. That'll be
That
good.
is so nice. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations.
Bye,
Bruce. Nice to see you all. Bye-bye.
Nice to see you.
I have to sign off too. I have to call my wife and daughter in
Well,
Michigan.
Give them my best.
I will.
Nice to see you, Brad.
Thanks for
See
joining
you
us.
too, Cubby.
Yeah.
I have to go, Kathy, because my battery is almost out. And
You were like one of the first people here.
I know, I've been here all day.
The whole party.
Happy birthday, KDB.
Thank you.
Nice to see
in
you. Love
touch.
you. Happy birthday. And by the way, as far as I'm concerned, you're still a kid. 65 is nothing.
Yeah. So what? Why is my picture dark? I got up and turned on lights. Is that the problem?
It looks fine.
It could be the lighting in the room.
The light behind your face.
It could also be your camera in your computer. Are you on the?
Well, I looked and I tried to lighten it up, whatever. Couldn't find a place to do it, but I'll do it after, after this is over. So Kathy, what is the latest on your former illness?
Okay, so I just had a CT scan on like June the 12th or 10th, and everything's clear. There's a little 2-millimeter nodule in my left lung that is too small to biopsy. It has to get to be like 10 millimeters before they could even biopsy it. It may be nothing. It may be like scar tissue or something. If it does grow and they biopsy it and it turns out to be the same kind of cancer that I had in my other lung, that would mean that the medicine that I'm on has stopped working.
Oh.
Because the medicine that I'm on is just attacking that mutation, the EGFR mutation that my tumor was made of. So I'm probably not going to know, well, the next time I get a CT scan is the end of October. So if everything is the same, they're just going to keep watching it. And if it gets bigger, yeah, it's 2 millimeters. It's almost nothing. Yeah, but I had nothing. I had nothing in a chest X-ray in 2016, and by 2019, I had something as big as a tennis ball. So I'm telling you that I'm not worried about it. I think everything's under control, but that is what the status is.
And they're keeping an eye on it.
Oh yeah, I'm getting
the thing.
scans every 4 months, and blood work. And my blood work looks good, except for I have one liver enzyme that's a little bit high, and I'm taking a lot of medication, so that could be the reason, and nothing to be concerned about at this point.
Well, the thing is, a lot of us have things, and we don't know it.
Right.
You know yours. See, I mean, it might be that we all have some kind of enzyme thing, and we just don't know because,
You're not
we
getting.
don't need to know, or,
Right.
We haven't had the test.
I mean, I was obviously must have been running around with this tumor in my lung for most of 2017 and 2018. And I mean, 2018, I was having a ball. I didn't know I had cancer. I went to London, I went to Israel, I went to Boston, New Hampshire for a wedding. I was dancing the 25-year-olds under the table. I mean, I didn't know I had cancer. And then in the fall, I got this cough that wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
I had a cough at different times, but I also had bronchitis. I had allergies. So it just kept, assuming it was something else. And, you know, it's only
Yeah.
when it gets to a certain point, and I was starting to get tired. That was the other thing. And I thought I was just getting old, and I said, well, I'm getting old. I'm just, this is what it, you know, but it wasn't. It was the cancer. And now it's all the medicine I have to take for the cancer that makes me tired. But I'm putting in a pretty full day. I get up very early. I drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee over the course of the morning, and I go to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I get up at like 5. And I
When
usually,
does it get hot there? About 9 o'clock?
no, well, 10 o'clock now.
All day.
No, it is nice and cool at 4:30 in the morning, I guarantee you.
Yeah, yeah, and it is very nice starting around, you know, kind of 7 o'clock at night, 6:30 to 7. Once you're kind of out of the direct sun, and if there's a nice breeze, then it's actually quite nice. It's very nice to be outside at that time of day. I love to barbecue and kind of hang outside and enjoy the evening weather. You know, yeah, and then it's actually,
Good.
yeah, if you have a good cooler, it's a good, pleasant sleeping weather. So.
Well, good.
It's not
Um,
humid, that's the thing. It's not.
It's dry. It's dry.
And there aren't, I mean, there are some little bugs. They're not mosquitoes. I don't know what they are, but they do bite me because but they don't leave like a big mosquito itchy thing. They're just like a tiny little, are they Newseums, Chris? What are these little bugs that
No
are?
see 'em.
No,
Yeah.
seems sure. I don't know definitively what is getting you, but yeah, I mean, there's flies.
I mean, I should wear slacks. What I do is I tend to wear dresses in the summer because it's cooler, and then I walk the dog with my sandals on, and then my legs get bitten.
You know, what I used in China the first year,
stuff.
the mosquitoes were terrible because the president of that college had a swimming pool that was green. There were things growing on the swimming pool, you know, but they had the swimming pool, and by George, nobody used it, but they had it. You know, it was a
mosquito breeding
status symbol kind of thing. So, and the swimming pool was just, you know, like 500 yards from where the teachers lived. And you could not keep the bugs away. I mean, you know, I had those coil things outside my door. I had other things, you know, that the Chinese use. I guess.
Remember when we had mushrooms growing up through the carpet at Dongnan?
Had what?
Mushrooms growing up through the carpet.
I didn't have them. But
Girls above you did. Remember those girls above you? And I had some kind of thing. I didn't have it as bad, and we had those stink bugs.
Oh, I had things in the spring. I'm sure they had always lived there. In the spring, you know, like Mackenzie had her boyfriend who had the flu come and live on my living room floor because, you know, there's no other place. And she said those things were biting her. I would sit on the sofa. I'm sure they always lived there. You know, they just came back, but then the Chinese acted like, oh, really? You know, like that's what they do, you know? But anyway, so what I'm getting, my first year in China, so the president's pool and all was breeding mosquitoes, you know. So they would, if you have one in your bedroom, you can hear it.
Yeah.
So hey, there's a Chinaman I know whose name is Wei. He's so old. How are you doing?
I'm good. I just woke up.
But working. I mean, are you afraid? I mean, are you out of ICU beds yet and that kind of thing?
Yeah, almost. We're getting ready to use PACU now, actually. Yes, we're all.
Use what?
PACU.
PACU.
I don't know what that is.
Where you come out of surgery.
Post, what does it stand for?
Post surgery.
Oh, Post-acute care unit?
Post-acute care unit, that's what it is.
I thought it was like a progressive care unit.
Where you,
PCU.
yeah, you wake up from surgery.
The PACU.
You wake up what?
When you come right out of surgery, they put you in a place where you wake up, you come
Yeah.
out. And,
Recovery.
and they're going to start using that as a COVID unit. They still have plenty of space. They just don't have it outfitted for COVID.
No more supplies, no more nurses.
And the nurses.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Well, there was someone being interviewed on MSNBC or CNN the other day, and I thought he's Pakistani, and he teaches at in a teaching hospital in Phoenix and ER.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
Pakistani, well known, I think.
Yeah, he's at the Banner University Medical Center, that big hospital in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah, well, he was on talking about it. That's where my knowledge is coming from.
It's very true. People in the ER don't even they don't even wear the gears anymore because
They don't even what?
Because you don't have the time to gear it up and down.
Wear the protective gear, the PPE.
They don't even wear that stuff anymore?
Well, barely. I mean.
Why? Because they're
Oh, yeah, that.
And gloves.
Because they don't have it?
Well, they have to put on normally.
the whole thing.
There's a whole, what he calls a bunny suit that you put on.
Oh yeah. That's inefficient to do it, because in the emergency room you still are maintaining, relatively speaking, you're still maintaining probably at least like a 3-to-1 ratio if you have like really sick patients. Like if you have 2 COVID patients, they may knock you down to like a 3-to-1 ratio, maybe a 2-to-1 ratio if they're really sick. But for you to fully don all of the PPE that in theory you would love to wear if you were dealing with somebody who is a COVID patient, it's not practical to do that every time you need to do something in there.
Because they have a shortage? It uses up too much?
No, it takes too long.
It's just very.
Oh, fast.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know, once a patient's maybe way can, add to it, but it's like once a patient's actually been intubated, assuming they're like that bad and once they've been intubated, there's like various filters that they put on the vents that are managing, the aerosolized droplets or whatever that technically are, probably being emitted by the vent or by the patient breathing. But, the rooms themselves, if they're in a negative pressure room, which we have a couple of, as long as you're wearing your N95 mask, it's not like that patient's all of a sudden going to sneeze in your face, is what I'm saying. So
She's walked over to the computer because she hears all these dogs barking. I hear Gertrude.
yeah, they're fighting.
Yes. Oh, hi, Laurel. Introduce Laurel to Ren, Cubby. This is
Hey, Ren, this is Laurel. This is my girlfriend.
Hi, Laurel. Gosh, Laurel has beautiful eyes.
does.
Yes. Thank you, Ren.
You're welcome.
Where's that little gray alien? Where is she? There she is. Oh, look at her.
Well, they keep each other company. That's good.
Yes, they do.
Bella, the older one, is kind of like whatever because she's given up because see that purple piggy she has? That's what I got her when she came to my house the last time. She hasn't completely destroyed it yet.
Almost.
So, you're on your regular schedule, aren't you? You're not working every day.
No.
Way?
No, he works at night.
Every night?
Not every night.
3 nights a week.
I work only 5 in 2 weeks, so 2.5 in a week.
2.5.
Yeah, I cut
2.5 schedule on a schedule, like
12-hour shift. So 30
yeah.
hours And then he's doing clinicals because he's getting his master's in
Yeah.
practice. So that's usually all day Friday or all day Saturday.
Yeah.
And then he has a class
Busy.
on Monday night. He's very busy. Very busy.
Well, I imagine so, Um, well, where my son is, it's very, they've had like 3 deaths in his county. That worries me because North Carolina is growing, but it's in like the cities,
Yeah.
Raleigh and Charlotte. So the thing is, I'm afraid, it seems like to me, if it's not there, it's coming.
Right.
Like in where my son is now, near Wilmington, he and his wife now.
Got married. Congratulations again.
What?
I said congratulations.
Yes. Oh, they're happy, but they're very, very busy. And she works up as a PA for a neurologist. And so he goes to 3 hospitals, and they're like on the line between North Carolina and South Carolina on the water. So those 3 hospitals. So, sometimes I'm talking on the phone with Drew, and everything, he tells me a lot of stuff. And sometimes I hear nothing. He just, how you're doing, that kind of thing. But anyway, he told me this story. He said each hospital wanted this neurologist. He was from, he went to Harvard and he taught and he worked at Harvard. So that's where he's come from. And they have a house on this island, Wrightsville Beach, and it's off Wilmington. It's like, 10 miles from downtown or less. And it's high, prices and all. But so they bought a place there, he and his family. But so he goes to these 3 hospitals. The point I'm getting to is that to get him, I guess, they gave him, one of the hospitals we're talking about, gave him his own operating room, outfitted with all the machines he wanted, And the problem is